Okay, so we're gonna tackle a different project here. We have a carbon monoxide propane detector in our trailer, and we'll tell you about that here in a little bit. But this little unit right here was beeping like you'll experience maybe in your home. Typically what that means is that the unit either is the battery's dead or the unit needs to be replaced. In this case, this unit needs to be replaced. So let me show you what it looks like, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so right here is the unit that we're going to replace. It's pretty straightforward, but if you haven't done one before, you're going to learn today. So before you mess with any electrical equipment inside, we move to the front of the trailer, and you can see that the battery we have here, 12-volt battery, I've disconnected that so there's no power to the unit inside. So here's the replacement unit. You notice that right on the front it looks just like the other one that we're going to replace it with, and we found this online, bought it on Amazon. It's about 50 bucks. Take about 10 minutes to install. Before we do that though, I want to show a few things I'm going to use today. Screwdriver, obviously, some different tips, electrical wire cutters, we have a stripper tool, also some wire nuts and electrical tape, and I'll show you how we're going to use that here. All right, we're back down to the unit here. A couple of things I want to point out is I removed the dinette board here, and you can see that you exposed a lot of the wiring, and the way this is wired up, there's just a black and a red wire that I'll show you here, but it goes into a wire nut here. Rather than replacing that, I'm just going to clip these two wires off. But before I do that, I'm going to remove this. I also want to point out one of the other pieces of equipment I like to use is a knee pad. Sometimes when you're down low, it's good to have something to protect your knees. All right, so I've got a Phillips screwdriver here. There's just two screws. Some of you may like to use a electric drill to remove these, and I'll use that on occasion. But what I find is that for wood that's thin like this, or maybe it's not as strong backing, it's better off using a regular screwdriver. That way you can kind of feel the screw as it comes out, and you don't over tighten or strip anything. All right, so now that I've removed the screws, just going to pull this out, and you can see that on the back side it's just a black and a red wire, and rather than removing them from inside, I'm just going to cut them here. Actually, it gives me a little more length to work with, and since I'm going to be throwing this away, I don't really care. So with some electrical wiring, after I cut that off, I use the strippers, and I strip the black and the red off there to expose the wires. It's pretty typical for any electrical work. Different people like to use different tools. This one works pretty well. So the replacement unit you can see here, the red, the black wire, I already stripped those on there. I'll connect those here, but before I do that, you'll notice that there's an extra plate that the manufacturer provided in case you need it. In this application, I won't need it, so I'm going to remove these two screws. It'll separate this back plate, and it should fit right back in there. All right, I removed the backing plate as I mentioned before. I've kept the original screws. I want to thread the new electrical wiring through the hole and then just fit check to make sure the unit's going to fit. Looks like it's going to fit very well, so I'll use these same screws and remount the unit, and then we'll wire it up. All right, so a couple of things. We've got the wire through there. We've got two blacks, two reds. You notice I've got some electrical tape that I've already pre-cut. I like to do that only because I know when my hands get busy, I can't find electrical tape or whatever. So I'm going to combine these two. And the reason I do that, first of all, I'm going to twist those together. Then I'm going to tape them. And we know that the black goes with the black. So I'll do the same thing, red to red. Wire those together, twist them. I'll put the wire nut here on just a moment. I want to put some electrical tape around there, and that way it kind of protects the wires as well as ensuring that I'm connecting the right ones to the right colors. So then I'll take a wire nut, just kind of twist that around there. You want to make sure that the wire twisting is going in the right direction. Do that with the reds, do this with the blacks. Got a good connection there as far as I can tell. Last thing I'm going to do once that tightens down is I'm going to put another piece of tape around there just to make sure the wire nut stays attached. I'll probably add a little more electrical, but I wanted to show you the technique I use. and we should be good to go. All right, now that we've got the carbon monoxide and propane detector installed, we think we got it wired correctly. I'm going to come back out here to the battery, and you'll see that we have a red and a black wire, a positive and negative. Make sure that when you're connecting a battery or disconnecting a battery that you remember the red goes on the positive. Use your nuts and you got your tool. So let's reconnect it. All right, well, we reconnected the battery, came back in here for the installation. You can see the green light is blinking, which is a good sign, meaning there's power to the unit. It's also blinking because there's about a 10-minute warm-up or setup for the CO2 sensor to activate. We'll come back and check on that in about 10 minutes, but it looks like it's a good installation. Check your user manual for whatever model you have, but looks like we're on the right track.